I'm super grateful to those here at the Cocoa Leaf Cafe for allowing us to use this place and to be able to actually meet in a physical space like this. And again, they've given us some wonderful Danishes here as well. So just a big thanks to them for helping us out with that. And I definitely want to encourage you guys. I know a lot of you guys already got some drinks, but if anyone else wants to, Sylvia's going to be helping us out with that as well. So feel free to grab some at any point. And they have some super delicious sandwiches as well. So that's all accessible over here. With that, I want to mention we're going to have Ana Badila today. She's going to be talking on alchemizing the soul, how to go from stuck to your full self-expression. And I'll introduce her in just a minute. Just a quick thing for some of you guys who haven't been here for our layout after the presentation. So it's going to be a little bit interactive. So Anna's going to ask some questions in between as well. So it'll be a little bit more engaging. But we're going to have a Q&A after, so you can ask questions towards the end. And then we're going to break into smaller groups. So there's a chance for us to have more discussions, more intimate discussions with each other and get to meet each other a little bit better. And then we'll stay towards the end. I believe it was, Sylvia, is that 8 o'clock that we can stay here till? Or? We are. Okay, that'd be perfect. Yeah, so we'll have to get out of here by 8 and we'll kind of start cleaning up a little bit before that. So I encourage you guys to stick around all the way to the end and have a chance to meet everyone and have a little fun and enjoy some food and drink. So with that, I also want to mention, some of you guys were asking, we have a Discord where we do all our community chat organizing, do a lot of events and hangouts, hikes and camping trips and things like that. So all that kind of stuff, if you want to join the online community in Discord, I encourage you guys to come either chat with myself or Kenny, and we can just get you the link to get in there. With that, I'll pass it on to Kenny. He's our co-organizer, and he's going to talk about Tryptos.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming. If you haven't seen, we started a new thing, which is outside of our normal every month meetup. We're going to do kind of a TikTok type thing. So so kind of like halfway through the month, we're going to do a smaller event where it's just more social, hanging out. I'm actually stealing the name from my old psychedelic group back in Brooklyn called the Trip Tales Tuesdays, where you just kind of get together, hang out, talk about whatever. Basically just an extension, basically just a small group discussions that we're doing here after. We'll do more of that. So last time I went to the Union and hung out, had a couple drinks, ate some food, just hang out for a few hours. Unfortunately, I couldn't go because I got COVID, but I'm good now. And the next one's going to be March 22nd. We haven't picked the location yet because we're really trying to find places that don't require a passport so everyone can come. It's not easy to do that. If anyone has an idea, let us know. If not, we'll have to do one more before they get rid of them in a couple weeks. And yeah, so come to that. It'll be real nice. And the last thing is donations. As mentioned, I think someone else mentioned already that, yeah, there is some cost involved in running the group. We have to, we pay for some of the places we book. Sometimes we provide food. We have to keep the website up and all those other things. So if you can spare a few bucks, that'd be real nice.
And Mark is collecting, or you can get the email address for sending.
Yeah. The e-transfer to Christoph is in the meetup description, or Mark's taking cash right now. And he promised he wouldn't slip too much in his own pocket.
All right. Yeah, and we appreciate you guys' support. So thank you for that. I also want to mention one last thing before we get to Anna is that our next meetup, we're looking at April 3rd. The event's going to be announced soon. Charlie Winninger, friend of Kenny's actually from New York. He's a therapist and an author, and he's like this love duck. He's going to be talking about MDMA in the context of relationships and how it's can be used as an emotional super glue, and as well as MDMA in transitions in life. So it's a pretty exciting talk, and we'll have that event page up pretty soon. So look for that.
An entire book just on MDMA. I will have copies, a few copies to sell to that book here. And also, I took MDMA for the first time with him and a bunch of friends in there, and he's the most fucking wonderful grandfather. So I encourage you to come.
Wait, is he related to you?
He's not really.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. He's just my drug grandfather.
It still counts. Yeah. So
for sure.
So with that, and without further ado, I want to introduce Anna. Anna is a friend. She's a longtime member of this community as well. She's actually given a talk on microdosing in the past, and we're thrilled to have her and welcome her back here to give this talk. Just to give you a little, some of you guys don't know Anna, she's actually moved to Costa Rica right now, and she's joining us from there. She's going to be giving a talk on alchemizing the soul, how to go from stuck to your full self-expression using psychedelics and complementary modalities. Anna is the founder of Microdosing Guru, a third wave certified psychedelic coach, psychedelic guide, and a previous guest speaker in our community. Anna is going to share her inspiring story about her journey in psychedelics. She will be discussing the psychedelic journey and microdosing as it shifts from exploration and curiosity to healing, self-awareness, and finding true freedom. She'll explore the journey in finding your North Star and what it means to find your purpose and live your full life. Furthermore, she will be discussing what it means to embrace the flow of life and let go of the confines of our conditioning. So thank you, Anna. Thank you for waiting patiently with us, and thank you so much for joining us. We're looking forward to this. So it's all yours.
Thank you so much for having me. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. It's a bit interesting to have, you know, the full room here and then also on the side the online presence. So, but as Christoph mentioned, my name is Anna, and I'm so happy to be here. I missed the community quite a bit. So I would like to make this talk more interactive. So I'll be asking questions, you'll be answering. Those who are online, I hope you can type in the chat, and those who are, you know, in the room, you can shout out your answers, and then throughout the presentation, I'll share my screen and I'll be, you know, presenting this by drawing and writing down my whole speech, because it makes it more engaging for you and also easier for me to present. Okay, so let's start with check-in. I would like to kind of check in and see where everyone is at tonight. We'll go through the room and then through the virtual room, and we will all say what's active for us right now with one word and what's the intention for tonight. So for me, what's very active is, I see smiles in the room. Okay, so let's all close our eyes for a second then. And just focus on your breath and feel where there is expansion in your body. And just stay with that. Maybe it's in your heart, maybe it's in your head, maybe there is no expansion. Just be present and see where it is. And I'll take a deep breath in and see if you can make a bit more space with your breath wherever there is tension. And let's take another deep breath in and let it out through your mouth. Okay. You can all open your eyes. Slowly. And what's very active for me right now is reconnecting with all of you. I've really missed this community and all the friends I have in there, and you know, potential friends. And what's my intention for tonight is to be fully present. So now I would like to start with who's there on that side, sitting on the chair, on the blue chair. What's your name?
That's Jeremy. I'm Jeremy.
Hello?
Can you hear Jeremy?
It's
Okay, who
Jeremy.
wants to start?
You should.
Okay, Jeremy, why don't you start by... Oh, I think you froze for a second.
Yeah, I did freeze.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
If you're gonna talk back to Anna, I don't know how much picks of the room, so if you could get up and walk closer.
Is the microphone just a computer?
The microphone is in the computer.
It's just the, okay.
Yeah, so you can walk up and get it.
I was so comfortable.
We'll get you back there in a minute.
Hey, Anna.
Oh,
There we go.
There you go.
Just to repeat.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so who would like to start?
I'll
Who
go
would like to
first.
start? Okay, so what? One word for intention, and one word for what?
Well, tonight, what's alive in me right now is just a sense of connection. I'm just really happy to be here. It's been a while since I've been able to come to a meetup. And just the intention tonight is just to be focused on your words and what you're saying. and see if I can gain any knowledge or kernel of truth for me.
Thank you, Jeremy.
All right.
Okay, who's next? Who would like to go next? And then those online, if you can please type it in the chat, I would love to hear from you too. Just 2 words. Okay. What's active and what's the intention?
2 words. Appropriate vulnerability. Being vulnerable to the appropriate situation and not trying to connect with situations that are not ready to hear. Yeah. Anna.
Thank you, Paul. You don't have to come in front of the camera. You can just sit there and just shout it out.
Well, I don't think you could hear us if we don't.
Yes, I can.
Oh. Well, we'll see. I'm right here. I'm close. So we can go. Maybe I'll help and just point to people so we have some sort of coordination on this side.
Good idea. And then you can repeat it to the camera.
Yeah. So now, anybody who doesn't feel comfortable with this, especially the first time there, just say so. We don't want to force anybody into this because of this situation. But are you anybody?
I'll go next.
Okay.
Hi, Anna. So good to see you again.
Hi.
Hi. I'm so sad that I didn't get to talk to you. So what's active for me tonight is rebirth, as coming back to Vancouver, finally settling down here after all the crazy journey. My intention tonight is receiving, being open and receiving, finding new family, receiving any possibility and opportunity that comes to me. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Perfect. Oh my God, that's so vulnerable.
Right?
Oh, nice
I
to
have
see
not
you.
heard from you for way too long. It's good to see you. What's going on for me is expansive love, and it feels good because it's been a long time. And my intention for today is, I want to say, share the labor of my love.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean.
Keep on going around.
Okay.
This is your first day. If you want to
Hey,
Hey.
I think I'll just use being more authentic will be mine now. So less like imposter syndrome, or less acting, less talking shit, and just being like a little more honest at actually what I really want, and not like talking like from a layer in front of me, like a front. There. So anyone today, don't trust anything I say because I'm still working on that talking shit thing.
Thank you, Andrew. All right, I have here Peter saying focus and presence, and Karen intention and knowledge. Anyone else would like to share? This is such a fun exercise, you know.
Hi, Anna. I'm Sam. First time meeting you. Right now, I'm feeling peace. A deep, profound sense of peace. And my intention today is just to cultivate connection.
Thank you, Sam. It's so nice to see you and to meet you as well.
Likewise, likewise.
Please do not go.
Hi, Anna.
Hi.
Yeah, my current feeling is I'm zonked out. I went to Sin City yesterday, so it's too much stimulation right now. So I'm just kind of chill. And my intentions are the same. I really like the previous one, to cultivate new relationships. It's a post-pandemic cultivate new relationships thing. Thank you.
What was your name?
Sean, and at Sean.
Sean. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sean.
Thank you.
All right. Well, this kind of ties in really nicely with what I'm going to talk about later, is being present and making choices in this present moment to set yourself up for success in the future. So without further ado, I would like to kind of go into this topic. And I know that the title Alchemizing the Soul can be a bit vague. And I kept thinking of how to make this, this talk very relevant to you, because I know you're giving your time and energy to be here, and it's the most beautiful gift that you can give to anyone. So thank you, and I want to honor that. And with that being said, I think I would like to hear from you what comes to mind when you think about alchemizing the soul using psychedelics. Maybe you can shout out your answer. I want to see what's the baseline, where you're at with, and then I can, you know, structure my talk based on that. I want to bring as much value as possible.
Anna, can you say the question again, please?
What comes to mind when you think about alchemizing the soul using psychedelics?
What does alchemizing mean?
Transforming, transmuting, changing pain into creation or lead into gold.
That's what I was thinking, lead into gold. Or
Why do we want to do that?
That's a good question, Kenny.
Oh, hey now, Kenny doesn't ask good questions.
Oh, Andrew, he's impersonating me.
So here online, I have Carly saying, experiencing higher states of consciousness. Karen says, accessing the subconscious, letting go of the conscious mind. Anyone else in the room would like to share?
Breaking up stuck energy.
Love it, Paul. Love it.
Dynamite for the soul, baby.
Exactly. Well, that's exactly it. For me, the soul is the you know, the middle point between the divine energy and the material human experience. So I'm going to share my screen and kind of dive into this, and I will show you what I have to share. I'm just going to put here on paper all the big things I'm going to talk about and then tie them all together. So the first thing that I will be talking about is the hero's journey. And I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this concept. Oh my God, I have to write a bit smaller. Then I'm going to talk about the agent arena. So I guess I'll be talking through this more than drawing. So I'm gonna go through the hero's journey, agent arena, death and rebirth, and then what does it mean to find your North Star, the role of psychedelics, and complementary integration practices. I'm just going to put it here as a CIP. And then the attitude, that's the most important in all this process, which is presence, that will allow us to make better choices. Oh. Presence. And then that leads to choices. Okay. So before I even dive into every single one of these concepts, I want to go back to, you know, the beginning of my journey with psychedelics. I mean, the hero's journey happened in my life in a lot of ways. All this cycle happened when I left Romania, came to Canada, and then moved to Costa Rica. It's a constant there are constant cycles that we go through, right? Smaller and bigger. But I want to talk about the one that started my psychedelic journey. So I was having my first LSD experience with a friend right in Vancouver, and it was just so beautiful. We were walking through the forest. We were very enchanted by the nature, and I was so amazed by all the different perspectives I was getting about life and about what it means to be alive and my role in it. And it was just wonderful to experience that. I think that with mushrooms before, it was a lot more emotional, and I was a lot like in a vortex of emotion more than getting perspective from a higher level. So I really loved LSD, and that first experience was an experience that offered me a mystical experience. So as we were walking through the forest, we came outside the forest, and in the sun, there were a few tables, picnic tables. And we decided to lay down and rest on those. And I was just with my eyes closed, facing the sun, and I felt like I was floating. And I was floating above the earth. And then above me, there was this creative divine energy that was so beautiful and pure and bright and warm. And beneath me, under me, there was this human life, the material life, and everything that humans are doing on this earth. And all of a sudden, I felt like my chest opened up, and my full body became a portal for that divine. And I saw the light coming through my body and making these tiny things into the material world. And then in that moment, I felt like if I did everything in life but that, my life would be in vain. And so I was like, wow, that's some powerful stuff, and I don't know where to start. So the first thing that came to mind was just following my curiosity, because I've always been curious, wanting to learn more. And oftentimes when I would be curious about things that were not necessarily accepted by my parents or by the society around, I would shut those things down. But luckily in Vancouver, that was not the case. I was far away from my family. I could explore all the things that I wanted. And in this case, psychedelics were there. And soon enough, microdosing came onto my radar, and that really sparked my curiosity in ways that nothing else did. So I started researching. Actually, microdosing led me to this meetup, and I found it, and I founded people, and then within this community, I got to explore not just microdosing, but everything about psychedelics, which was so wonderful. And so for me, that was the call to action, that we go through a hero's journey. So let me just put that there. So I'm just going to go back and forth between my story and this concept, and hopefully we can make sense of all of it. So as I was saying, the hero's journey, you've probably heard about it. It started with Joseph Campbell, and it's a monomyth. It's an archetype for what humans go through when they go through transformational processes. And it often has three phases. It has the departure phase, which is here. My writing is not great, hey? The initiation phase, and then the return. And this one above the line is the ordinary world. And then this under the line is the non-ordinary world. Now, here in the departure, you have the call to action, you have the refusal, you have the supernatural aid, all these things here. And then if you're brave enough, right here on the line, you are crossing the threshold. I think I misspelled that, but yeah. And for me, the call to action, the opening was that mystical experience I had during the LSD. And then crossing the threshold was me going full on and putting all my time, effort, and energy into researching microdosing, into trying it, into seeing how it functions, how it works for me, into talking to people about it, into starting a journal that could, systematically track the microdosing experience for myself. And so it was almost like a free fall, because in this part here, where I was initiated into the world of psychedelics and microdosing, I had to fight a lot of my demons and my blockages, some of the things that, I've been conditioned into. And with the help of mentors, with friends from the community, with a lot of crying and thinking and reflecting, I was going through that process. Now, every single point in the hero's journey, the call to action, the refusal, the supernatural aid, the threshold, in all of them, we have this agent arena relationship and the way in the process of co-identification. So each and every one of them has this agent arena. So I'm just going to explain in a second what that means. The arena is your external world. It is a place that organized in such a way that you know how to act in it. It just makes sense. And so in this arena, you assume an identity as an agent, and also as an agent, you are assigning an identity to the arena. And that's happening right here, right now. We are in this context where the agent, from my point of view, I'm the agent, and this is the arena where I'm having a room full of people that I'm presenting to. So I have to take a certain role, act in certain ways, speak in a certain way. And from your point of view, you as the agents, this is the arena where you are conforming to it. And it makes sense, right? Now, that's exactly what happens in every single part of your life. When I was, yes. Now the beauty about psychedelics is that it blows up the arena, and it also blows up the meaning that you give to your arena and the meaning you give to your life, right? And that's a beautiful place to be, because it offers the opportunity to shift the perspective, to make new meaning, to reconnect with your pain and trauma in different ways, or to rediscover new parts of self. But in this process of going through the transitions and constantly thinking about who are you in relation to your context and what meaning you are assigning, and how are you there, and what things you want to change, and what could you change, there is always a death and rebirth process that's happening. And in this death and rebirth process, there is always a need to let go. Let go. It's bringing to attention attachments that you have. And those attachments could be things like ideas that you hold on to, or desires, or needs, or people or places. For in my example, when I went all in with the microdosing, I had to put money into a project that may or may not pan out. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're good.
Okay. May or may not pan out. And so the attachment I had was, like, I came from a family that was very poor, and the idea that was instilled in me, that I was conditioned into, was that money is something that you should not play with. And so I had to let go of the idea that money is something that's scarce, and I cannot make it back if I put it into frivolous things like a microdosing journal. And I had to work through those attachments. Okay, let me stop for a second. Does all this make sense so far?
Yeah, perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I don't get the feedback from the room, so it's a bit hard to know where everyone is at. Okay, so going back to psychedelics and exploring psychedelics, I've always entered that space with a sense of curiosity and desire to learn more about myself and about the relationship I have with the environment. And it came very clear to me that, after going through a lot of experiences, really, where I lost, meaning of life, and where I realized how I showed up in relationships and what I needed to change and all these things. I started asking myself, like, why am I doing all this? Like, what is the point of all of it, And the thing that really kind of saved me from it was an idea I came across, which was the North Star. And that North Star is basically is the guiding pull that can lead me towards my growth. And it became very clear to me that I had to reevaluate the values I was living by. I had to reevaluate my life in a lot of ways, and I had to change a few things to make everything more coherent, my thoughts, my actions, and my words. And so working with that idea of what is my North Star, and looking back, I love doing timelines for myself. I love doing, looking at the cycles I go through. I keep journals, so reading back is very helpful to see how I show up and what are the patterns. And it became clear to me that the things that make me feel most alive is when I create experiences for myself and for others, and then I leave myself and others empowered and inspired. And then I had to ask myself, like, what do I need to create that? Like, what's the best way to set myself up for success? And from that kind of emerged my values, which is freedom, learning, community, and self-expression. So it was a beautiful coming together where I looked at my life as a whole, and then also my life in pieces, and then trying to bring more of those things that made me fully alive. And I mentioned, I mentioned right here, sorry, psychedelic and complementary integration practices that really helped me with destroying parts of self that were no longer serving me and bringing new things into my life. But the thing that I really had to practice was the attitude of presence. And presence is a tricky word because everyone says, yeah, you have to be present, you have to, you have to be present, right? But what does that mean? And I found that when you're fully present, there is a certain outcome that you get out of it. And I want to talk about that right now. The way we are present, is a way in which we, like I asked you at the beginning, to fully come back to your body and your breath and attune to what is there. Where do you find expansion and contraction? And really sit with that and pay attention to how different things around you create more patterns of contraction and expansion in your body. And as you do that more often on a daily basis, maybe using mindful meditation, you get to see patterns. And when you're fully present, you get to also feel how different things activate you. And that activation is the life force that goes through you and wants to come out. But sometimes we stop it with fears, with fear of judgment, maybe with old ways of being. And so I want to give you an example just to make sure that this lands. Yesterday, no, a few days ago, I was going through a rough period with the project I'm working on. And I talked to a few friends about the stage I'm in, the self-sabotage, the things that I'm kind of, doing. And I was watching another video on Instagram about that topic, and it just clicked for me. It clicked in a way that nothing else did before. And I felt in my body this activation that I was telling you about. And in that moment, I had a choice. Do I want to share this or not? Because it was very, very aligned and very pertinent to the message I was sharing with people. So I had a choice. Do I share it or do I not share it? And for me to be fully present and make a decision that's fully aligned with my values, which is, inspiring and empowering, the answer was yes, I had to share. But the first thing that came to mind was like, oh no, I don't have my makeup on, the background is not set up properly. I will do it later. That was the thing that came. And I realized in that moment that the choice that I make right now in this present moment will set me up, will set my future self up for success, because this is what my future self would actually choose in a perfect situation. But all I have is right now. And if I don't do it right now, then it's not going to happen in the future, because there is always going to be an excuse. There is always going to be a fear. There is always going to be a conditioning, an old pattern, something that emerges that prevents you and blocks you from it. So this brings me to, to the most important idea really is, how do we cultivate presence? And how do we choose in this present moment based on our values? When I left Canada, to come to Costa Rica, it was again a decision that was made very fast. And there is a difference between being impulsive and being present and making aligned choices. And when you are making aligned choices in this present moment, it's almost like you enter this, like, first of all, if you know it in your body, if it activates you. So that's the first clue. You enter this flow state where things kind of align for you to make that choice. You're fully immersed, and then it's activating all your skills and knowledge and your whole being for you to make that choice. And it feels a bit challenging because it is outside of your comfort zone, but you also feel very refreshed after you've made it. So that's how you can tell whether this is a reactive response or you're making a choice in this present moment based on something that's fully aligned with your highest values. And so some of the integration practices I've been using after, blowing up my world with psychedelics and all sorts of experiences, I found very useful to do things from my mind, such as mindful meditation. And Paul knows, John Verbeek is this cognitive science professor from Toronto. He has an amazing series of lessons on YouTube where he walks you through every single step on how to do meditation properly. And I'm not saying that in the righteous way, but in the doing it right, because mindful meditation is a very cool psychotechnology. Contemplation, he also has that. I love doing journaling because, as I said, it allows me not just to offload things of my mind, but also I can go back and see how I have changed throughout time and what are some of the patterns, what are some of the cycles I keep going through. And other practices that kind of tend to my body and allow me to feel my body and cultivate this presence is breath work, ecstatic dance or free flow movement, sound immersions. I love doing sand art. And hape, when I first landed in Costa Rica, hape and being by the ocean, feeling the waves on my skin really, really helped. So just to conclude kind of the whole thing is, in my experience, I feel like it always comes back to the question, why am I doing this? Why am I trying psychedelics? Why am I trying all these modalities? Why am I making the choices I'm making? If it's a goal, then once I've achieved it, then what? Say, for example, my goal to do psychedelics is to heal myself or to get more creative or to whatever it is. Then once I've achieved that state, then what? What am I going to do with it? How would I create a life that's fully fulfilled? And then I think the goal is not to run in circles really, but to expand in a spiral. Because I think that's when you take the pain and take the trauma and take the things that you are given as a human being and you use it as a source of creation. I think in the end, self-actualization is basically allowing our true nature to come forth and to bring more beauty into this world. So what that looks like for you, and yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to share with everyone tonight.
Awesome. Thank you.
Paul? No. Paul is a question for the speaker? Never.
Wait. Okay.
I just wanted to know, in the hero's journey, as far as the departure, the initiation, and the return, have you experienced any return cycles? Because like there's the huge hero's journey, which is like a lifetime, but then there's mini ones. So I was curious if you had anything to say about returning cycles that you've experienced or anything like that. That was my question.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a great question. Yes, I have. And it happened returning to myself and to saying no to things that were not fully aligned. So I don't know if that makes sense, but in my past, I used to be a people pleaser, and I used to cross my boundaries a lot just to be accepted, loved, and feel like I belonged in places or with people that I didn't fully belong. And so that was one of the cycles that I've completed. It's like right now I know what I want and what I don't, and what's aligned with me and what's not, and I have the courage and the strength to say no. Does that make sense?
I love it. I relate to it a lot. Thanks.
Thank you. Andrew?
Ready? You can hear me perfect?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so this hero's journey kind of seems like a superhero, and they're walking through their life and they're developing and they're getting really proud of who they are. And then they're returning to it. The return almost feels like they're just coming back to their full presence. But do you think that this hero can go back? Like, imagine you can go back to Romania. You can go back to reasons and causes and relationships with your family, with uncles, aunties, history, and like you could be able to like dial back into a lot of those like severed relationships, severed reasons, even like the reasons why all of these turmoils kept coming back. Not just, oh, I'm a hero now. I have a good lifestyle. I do yoga. I wear Lululemon, and I go shopping at Whole Foods, and I eat quinoa. Hey, mom, how you doing? Here's some presents. Here's some money. Hey, dad, like, I know we don't talk, but that's okay. Like, I have to set my boundaries and my limits, like wellbeingincorporated.com. So for me now, I feel like been there, done that. Now, like, there's like some other layers being peeled off that feel like a little more like ancestral, a little more family root, a little more like, I would use the word almost like indigenous to our culture. And like, look, you're far away, you're out of your land right now. I feel like some land, I was born in Canada, but I still feel this root with like South America. And like sometimes when I'm on a substance, I really feel it's like really first like nation South American spiritual thing. And I don't know if it's coming from inside me or if it's coming from, it's like a reality thing. It's a bounce back that I'm still getting really like acquainted with, but I feel like the hero's journey that we've been bought by this Joseph guy is like kind of like chapter 3 or chapter 5 or something, but I feel like there's some more there. The end.
Thank you, Andrew. That's a fantastic question because it does relate to my my experience quite a bit. So true. I I left Canada. I left Romania because my relationship with my parents was not the greatest, in the sense that they were awesome. They are awesome, but they wanted me to live a life that I didn't want. And through being in Canada and reflecting more, I've always not answered their calls, and now wanting to give them updates, especially with my mom. And recently, I reflected upon, what does she actually want for me? And I started that conversation. And the hardest thing that I was carrying with me is, well, she sacrificed a lot for me to go to school, to get a career, and I left it all behind and I moved to Canada. And so one of the things I was carrying was, did I disappoint her? And did she sacrifice it for nothing? Am I just a failure in her eyes? And I called her once, and I really wanted to talk to her about that. And I couldn't actually say it out loud without crying. And then she was just so kind and unexpectedly, because I think, you know, I had a different, yeah, anyways, she said, no, look, you are doing things and you're living braver than I ever lived, that I could live. And I'm just so proud of the decisions you've made. And of course, I cried even more, but that opened up a new way of relating to my parents. And so right now, that process has evolved in such a way that I'm calling them to talk to them, because I know that they've sacrificed their life to travel the world just to have me and my siblings. And what I can do for them as a gift, besides talking to them and giving them my time and energy, is to allow them to live vicariously through me and to actually see the world. Because, and every time I share with them, you know, where I am and what I'm doing, they are just like so excited, you know. And I found that brought a lot of healing between us and a lot more honest communication. And now I don't feel like every time I talk to them, it's just to update them on my life. It's actually diving into deep stuff that are meaningful to me and meaningful to them. So that is a return back home. In a sense, it's not a physical home, it's a home with being in relationship, in a better relationship with my parents. Does that make sense, Andrew?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, thanks so much. We're gonna wrap it up now. Anna, thank you so much.
Thank you for having.
Are you any closing words?
I think I want to find out from everyone is if there is any takeaways, or if this was even remotely, you know.
Yes. Can I share a takeaway?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Did you want to say something, or just say yes?
Yeah, the answer to Andrew's question just now resonated with me so much, so much. I feel like that's why I left the country, is why I'm here, and I'm experiencing the same blockage, feeling that I'm disconnected to my family, and every time I reach out to them, it's to update. And yeah, thank you. That resonated so much to me. Thank you. So that would change the way I interact with them and my perspective as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing that.
Can you see me? Okay, so I think an important thing about today's, like what you said about today, was having a visual structure, having a map, because I think a lot of people, they enter the psychedelic thing and they're just like, they're the tree, but like having a system like the one that you drew out with the map is kind of showing you that there's a forest and that you can bounce back and forth on that, and it helps people guide themselves and have something to come back to. And then also what you do is like you have the journal. So you're just not this like fool walking around bumping into things and throwing spaghetti at the walls, but having a system, even without a coach or even without a guide, but like seeing like, oh shit, this makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, that's what erasers and pencils are for, so that it makes sense for you, as long as the results are good. So that's my takeaway. Well, it's not really my takeaway. I'm just trying to share it with other people, which is your takeaway. Saying.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, I find it very useful to know where you are and know why you are doing this. Yes.
Hi, Anna. Thanks for the talk. So I came to this, the title of the talk resonated with me because sort of my own experience with microdosing over like a year, kind of, I feel like I'm more in line with myself and sort of, I'm kind of realigned with myself, and it sort of helped me have more clarity with my purpose. And so I guess my question is, what is it about psychedelics do you think that is actually doing this process?
So let me see if I understand correctly why psychedelics are doing this process.
What is causing this shift that, like, at least for me personally, I'm finding that I'm more in tune with kind of who I am and what I want to do with my life.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think one of the reasons is because it attunes you more, it creates the bridge between the mind and the body and really drops you into what you're actually feeling. So you're not disconnected in that sense. It shifts your perspective and it makes you ask yourself why. It creates distance between the meaning you are giving and the event that's happening. And with that distance, you get to be less reactive and more proactive, and you get perspective. And so with mindful meditation, you get that in like years of practice, but psychedelics, I find it's a fast track. And while the danger is that you can, be distracted and just be entertained with them, they also have this potential of showing you things that you have not fully wanted to look at. So, Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. What was your name?
Hi, Anna. It's Eric.
Hi.
Thanks
Hi,
so
Eric.
much for sharing your story. As I'm sure a lot of us felt, it resonated quite a bit with me. I'm in the same kind of phase right now where I feel like I'm sort of rediscovering who I actually am and making some changes in how I show up in the world. And the struggle that I deal with is that sometimes I go for long stretches kind of forgetting that I'm trying to like put in the work to change. And I just wonder if in your journey, if like becoming who you want to become, if there was something you could do to like bring yourself back, like to stop abandoning yourself and like, like find who you are and really like reconnect to like continue making change.
Mm-hmm. Well, that right there is the self-sabotaging tactic where you go all in and then go all out. I find that what really helped me was just slowing down. For me, the sabotaging was doing things fast, doing a lot of things, not having a break to catch my breath and be with myself. But if you start practicing on a daily basis, just lay down on the ground and feel yourself. Any consistent practice of feeling yourself with your breath and slowing down will remind you of that. And it's as simple as that, but it can have huge impact.
Yeah. Daily routine of the little things. Yeah.
And honestly, consistency makes such a difference. And there is no magic tool but this consistency in a small thing that. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have one quick question.
Okay, go on, squeeze it in. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So regarding being aligned with yourself and being present, how do you know if the decision you're making, you feel like it's aligned with your present right now, but it might change in the future, or like right now you feel like if you make this decision, it's flowing, it's aligned, but it might not please other people. And then in the future that might backfire on you. How do you know when it's actually a challenge you have to like put yourself, the alignment away and kind of just like grind it through the challenge? And how do you know it's like what you actually have to just follow and just do it?
That's a great question. It's actually a twofold answer to this. First, you said that what if it backfires? Well, you should never really pay attention to that. There's always going to be someone that's hurt based if whatever you do. So that's one. And then the second one is like, things will change because we are just so infinite on the inside. And the only way to know is to try and feel it in your body and cultivate that presence where you see if it fully activates you. And one thing I learned recently is that my life doesn't have to make sense. We are just so infinite on the inside, and there are so many parts of us that we haven't fully discovered, that maybe in 5 years, the decisions you make right now don't make sense, but you had to go through this so you find more of yourself later. Like everything that you do leads you to be more of yourself if you stay present. And you have to just trial and error. And yeah. There is no shortcut. You just have to, jump off the cliff and then see if you die or not.
Yeah, so on an ending note, please don't jump off any cliffs. Anna,
metaphorically, okay?
I think we got it. Thanks so much, Anna.
Thank you, Karen.
Instagram is a good way to find her, Microdosing Guru. She's also in our Discord. If you're not there, you want to be there, you can get in touch with her. We're gonna break off into small groups now. So if you're gonna stay for that, let me hang around. And Anna, I'm gonna cut you loose. Thanks so much.
Wait. I want to thank Kenny and Christoph for this and for having me. And I want to thank everyone who joins tonight. It's been a real pleasure, and it's nice to make new friends.
Awesome. Thank you.
And to see old faces. Bye. Love you all. Bye.
Bye.